So a while back, I was at a cookout, friend of a friend type situation. Nice people, good food, nothing wrong with the setting whatsoever. And at some point, someone asked me, "So, what do you do for fun?" And I just stood there, completely blanked, like the question short circuited something in my brain. I said something like, "Oh, stuff." And then I smiled and walked toward the food table, even though I had just made myself a plate 20 seconds ago. I drove home that night thinking, what is wrong with me? And the thing is, I know I'm a perfectly functional person in the right environment. Put me in a room with people I actually know, and I'm fine. I'm funny, I have opinions, I can hold a conversation. But put me in a group of what I can only describe as normal people, people who just talk to strangers like it's nothing. People who answer, "What do you do for fun?" without needing 3 to 5 business days to process the question. And something in me just shuts down. I've been thinking about this for a while now, and I think I finally understand what's actually happening. The first thing I noticed is that normal people are really, really comfortable with small talk. And I genuinely do not understand how. They'll just walk up to someone and go, "So, you know Brian from work?" And then they're off. 20 minutes of conversation about absolutely nothing. No conflict, no resolution, no point, just pies. Whereas I'm standing nearby, fully aware that I should probably say something, running through opening lines in my head like I'm rehearsing for a job interview. By the time I've settled on something to say, the conversation has moved on to a different topic entirely, and now anything I contribute is going to sound like I wasn't listening. Which, to be fair, I sort of wasn't. I was too busy preparing to speak to actually hear anything. And the worst part is that I know how this looks from the outside. I look disinterested, maybe a little arrogant, maybe a little rude. I'm not any of those things. I'm just running a very slow operating system in a room full of people who are somehow in version 47. The second thing is the accidental weirdness. This is a personal favorite of mine. When I do finally decide to say something in a group conversation, I've usually been sitting on it so long that it no longer fits the moment. Someone tells a lighthearted story about their dog. Everyone laughs. And then I go, that actually reminds me of a documentary I watched about animal cognition. Just completely kills the room. Not on purpose. I wasn't trying to be that person. I just finally worked up the courage to contribute, and this is what came out. Normal people don't seem to do this. They just say whatever is on their mind the moment it appears. No quality control, no second guessing. And honestly, good for them. Must be nice. Then there's the thing that I think a lot of people who are like me will recognize. The moment someone you sort of know shows up in a place you didn't expect to see them. You're at the grocery store, you're in your own world. You've got a basket, a list, zero social energy. And then you spot them. Someone from work, an old classmate, your neighbor's cousin who you met once at a birthday party 2 years ago. And instead of walking over and saying hello like a normal person, you make a sharp left into the cereal aisle even though you don't need cereal. You need paper towels. Paper towels are in the other direction, but paper towels are also in the direction of that person. And so now you're standing in the cereal aisle, holding a box of something you don't eat, staring at the nutrition label and waiting for the coast to clear. I once hid behind a display of paper towels to avoid making eye contact with someone I genuinely like. I wasn't avoiding them because I didn't want to see them. I was avoiding them because I wasn't emotionally prepared. There's a difference, a subtle difference that I'm not sure I could explain to a normal person without them looking at me the way people look at someone who just said something concerning. Here's another one. Group hangs where you know one person and you don't know anyone else. You came for the one person. That's your anchor. As long as they're nearby, you're okay. You can operate. You've got a lifeline. But then they go to the bathroom, or they get pulled into another conversation, or someone else needs them. And suddenly you're just standing there, in a group of strangers, holding your drink with both hands like it's keeping you grounded, smiling at people in a way that you hope reads as friendly, but probably reads as slightly alarming. I've had moments where someone left me alone in a group for maybe 4 minutes, and I completely rebuilt my personality to match whoever was talking to me. Suddenly, I'm casually interested in golf. I've never thought about golf once in my life, but the guy next to me was talking about his handicap, and I said, "Oh yeah, for sure." And now we're 3 minutes into a conversation I have absolutely no business being in. Normal people don't do this. They'd just say they don't golf. It never crossed my mind that that was an option. And then there's leaving, which you would think is the easy part. You've survived the event, you made it through. All you have to do is say goodbye and walk out the door. Except it's never that simple. Because saying goodbye to one person means you now have to say goodbye to everyone. And if you say goodbye to everyone, some of them are going to go, "All already?" And now you have to explain yourself to a room full of people who think you're leaving too early, even though you've been there for 2 hours and have been mentally checking out since the 45-minute mark. So instead of doing a proper round of goodbyes, I do what I can only describe as a soft exit. I start drifting toward the door slowly. I make my conversations a little shorter. I stop refilling my drink. I position myself in the direction of the exit like a ship turning around. And then at some point, when the moment feels right, I just slip out. No announcement, no production, just gone. And then I'll get a text the next day from the one person I actually know there going, "Hey, did you leave? I didn't even see you go." And I'll say, "Yeah, sorry, I had to get up early." I did not have to get up early. I just needed to be home by 9. The other thing, and this one I don't talk about enough, is what happens after the social event is over. You'd think going home would be the relief, and it is for about 20 minutes. But then your brain, which was apparently just getting warmed up, decides that now is a great time to replay every single interaction from the last 3 hours. Every sentence you said, every pause that went a little too long, that one moment where you laughed at something a half second before everyone else did, and you're not even sure you heard the joke correctly. Normal people go home and go to sleep. I go home and hold a full internal deposition about everything I said and did. Did that come across wrong? Did I interrupt that person? Why did I bring up the documentary? Nobody asked about the documentary. I should have just laughed about the dog. It usually wraps up somewhere around midnight with me reaching the conclusion that I did fine and everyone has already forgotten about it, which is almost certainly true. But we had to go through the whole process first. Now, I want to be clear about something. I'm not talking about social anxiety in a clinical sense, though that's a real thing that a lot of people deal with. I'm talking about something a little different, something more like the gap between who you are in your own head and who you become the moment other people are watching. Because in my own head, I am a perfectly reasonable, reasonably interesting person. I have thoughts. I have a sense of humor. I have things I could say. But the moment I'm in a room full of people who seem to be running on some kind of social frequency I was never tuned into, something goes wrong in the transmission. The thoughts are there. They just won't come out in the right order at the right time in the right format. It's like trying to send a text when you have 1 bar of signal. The message is composed. It's ready to go. But it's just sitting there. The thing I've had to come to terms with is that normal is doing a lot of work in that sentence. Because the people who seem totally comfortable at cookouts and group hangs and grocery store run-ins, they're not operating without any effort. They've just had so much practice that the effort became invisible. I've also noticed that the moments I feel the least weird are the moments I stop trying to perform normalcy and just say whatever is actually true. Like, I'm not great at small talk, but I'm genuinely curious about what you just said. That sentence has opened more real conversations than anything I could have planned in the cereal aisle. So no, I don't think I'm broken. I think I just load slowly. And if you give me a minute, or maybe 20, I'll get there. Leave a like if you've ever done a soft exit and then sprinted to your car. You know who you are.